Champ, 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 champ.
Perfect, perfect, perfect,
champ, champ.
I was gonna rip his heart out. I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one to stop me. Lynx, conqueror, no, I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody as ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from Nairclaw. There's no one that can match me.
All right, man, let the world know who we speaking to.
This is Raqeeb Shabazz. Born and raised Hartford, Connecticut, man, Mount Sinai Hospital, 1973, January 12th. It's the only neighborhood I ever lived in, truly, really, is right here. You know, this is called A Block, Uptown, Adam, all of that. Now it's called Harlem. This is where everything started for me. Household structure, pretty much a single family. Mother was really doing everything herself. There was a brief period of my brother and sister father living with us, and then there was a span of time where he wasn't, and then, you know, she ended up getting acquainted with another gentleman. Well, I care not to share his name, so there was a fractured home. That's what I would describe it as. Well, the fractured structure, the fractured the family. You know what I'm saying? Me and my brother and sister, we got separated. You know, they ended up going down to Virginia with their grandparents. I was left up here. At the time, really had no relations with my father's side of the family. So I ended up basically out here at some point in time. This became my family. You know, brothers out here, dudes I grew up with. You know what I'm saying? My friends, that my nuclear family was created, man, from. So most of my friends I know from 5, 6, 7 years old. You know, so it created a wedge, man, and you know, bonds got kind of disrupted, you know, relationships, man, got smeared, man, but you know, that's what it was. And it created, you know, me to become in survival mode, you know what I'm saying, because listen, I had to live, you know, and that's what I did, man. I became very resourceful and, you know, I had to adapt to the situation. You know, life is about adapting, even though I adapted in a negative connotation because, you know, that's what I knew, and that's what I had to do, basically. It's not nothing to brag about, but that's what it was, you know what I'm saying? You out here in these streets, you gotta survive, especially if you don't got no family support, you know what I'm saying? You basically doing what you gotta do. Best memories, man, just the camaraderie, man, of the dudes that I grew up with, man. My brothers, man. My brothers from other mothers, man. Like, you know, the camaraderie, man. You know, traveling, man. You know, playing football. You know what I'm saying, against other neighborhoods, man. You know, going out, partying. You know what I'm saying. You know, just just living, man. I mean, that's what it was at that time, man. You know, until you know different, you know what you think what you're doing is it. So we was just living at the time, you know. We out here hustling, man, and making money, man. 15 years old, didn't know what to do, just running wild, man. You know what I'm saying? Some of us had full families, some of us didn't. Some of us had no families, man, but we just all one body. You know, we had our little cliques here and there, but you know, at the end of the day, you know, we formed like Voltron at certain times, you know. But this, you know, it's just, it was many good times, man, you know. You know, I will be honest, it was more bad times than good times. So I don't paint no story of the street life as being some great thing, because a lot of it is dark, man, you know. Well, 13, man, I was kind of staying with my grandparents, man. So I was back and forth from here. It's up on Andover Street near Rawson. They called it Rawson at the time. So, you know, it was still there was structures of family, man, and unity, man. The community was still, at that time, it was all right, man, you know. You know, you had a little football league that I had just stopped playing, man. You know, I was playing high school basketball and football my freshman year of high school. You know, I still kind of wasn't, at that time, 13, I still wasn't hustling, man. I knew about the hustle, but I wasn't hustling. My boys was, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I seen. I was like, yo, my boys getting money. You know, I still was trying to walk that path, you know, so to speak, still kind of like talking about this American dream that, you know, we was taught, go to college, have a family, you know, say get that house, picket fence, all that. You know, that dream that a lot of us was, you know, fed at the time, man, you know, that for many of us is not a reality. But that was, you know, then when I got 15, things changed, man, you know. Mother started getting high, you know what I'm saying, wasn't paying for the private school, you know what I'm saying. I gained some, I got put out of my freshman year, I got put out of the college out of this high school I was going to, and I was angry, man. I was resentful, man. I was like, you know, this was my way of making it up out of here. So, you know, going to Weaver, I was like, oh, my boy's already in pitching, and I'm like, you know what? Out of anger, I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do to survive, and you know, that's when it all started, man. So, you know. That time, I mean, you know, programming was dissolving, man, for us, man. Like our age, 15, there was no prevention programs out here. You know, we could go to the court, you know what I mean, but there wasn't no leagues out here for us. There was no programs trying to divert us. There wasn't nobody coming out here telling us, yo, listen, man, it's a different way. You know, we was left to do. We the latchkey era anyway. So we was left alone for a long time, man, because a lot of our parents was working. You know what I'm saying? So listen, man, the community at that time, it was dissolving, man. As far as the village, I think that's when the village really started to dissolve, man, out here. You know, it got a little rough, but it wasn't bad. But those catch nets for people out my age, it wasn't really none out here, man. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you had to decide between making $2-3 grand a day or just being a regular person. You know what I'm saying? That decision was kind of easy for many people. You know, especially when you come from poor homes, man, and you ain't got to depend on nobody to do nothing for you. You doing everything yourself, and it felt sweet. You know, but the community at that time it was starting to fall. It was starting to fail. You know, that's just my opinion. We you know, we all have our lenses, man. But like, you know, the lenses of over here, because we was kind of shut off. So, you know, that we used to call it an island at one time. These three streets right here was like the island, man. You know, but community programming wasn't. Me personally, I don't know too much programming at that time. You know, besides the nation coming out here trying to scoop me up, probably the only people, man. That's it. saying? Because at that time, man, you know, you had to walk around packing at that time. After a while, I mean, like I said, when I first started hustling, man, you know, it was money. It was money coming and all that. Next thing you know, neighborhood beefing. You know what I'm saying? My man got killed when we was 16, man. Got shot. You know, I seen him die right beside me. It was changing. It was evolving, man. It started to become a war zone. You had to be holding heat out here. You know, you couldn't just be out here hanging out no more with just a pack. You had to have pack and heat on you. You know what I'm saying? You know, the only safety you had is in knowing you was holding something, or your man was holding something. But it wasn't as though you just gonna be out here. You know, it was a Jamaican dude told us one time. He said, "Man, you can't war and make money at the same time," and that came to be true. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, to be out here, you had to be holding still, pretty much. I mean, that's really, but we gonna keep it raw out here. You had to be holding, you know, especially when you start seeing your boys die. The reality make it even more real. You know what I mean? I don't just talk from a place of I heard somebody. I see my man die right beside me. Well, you know what I'm saying? You know, I ended up catching the case, man, when I was like 17. I went to jail for a robbery that it was said I did a robbery, which I didn't. I just beat a dude up. So I got locked up when I was 17. So inside, when I was inside in NYI, Young Cheshire, you know what I'm saying? You know, you had New Haven against Hartford against Bridgeport, you know, and it was like gladiator school, man. My second day in jail, man. It was a riot in the building I was in, and I was like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? You out here, you in there with nothing. Ain't no guns in there. You know what I'm saying? You may get a shank or something, but it's really just you fighting. You know what I'm saying? And so you know, one of my mans came down from the prison, man. He started telling us about 20 Love. We was like, yo, we gotta do something, man. You know, cause nobody liked Hartford at the time. You know what I'm saying? We was fighting everybody at the time, man. So, you know, we started 20 Love in Young Cheshire. And, you know, I came out about 93, man. You had 20 Love, you had the Solids, and you had the Kings, you had the Nietas. You know, that was what was going on when I was out here, man. That's the first time I ever seen police with machine guns was when that was going on. Cause it was one of my friends that was solid got killed right in front of the halfway house. And it was just crazy, man. But those was the gangs. Those were the gangs that was going on in my era. Well, you know, we brung it out here, you know what I'm saying, at one time. You know, I was a president over here, whatever you want to call it, you know, tried to bring the structure out here. And for the most part, you know, 20 Love was all the, you know, well, not all of the avenue, but over here, you know, in certain places. So navigating was you just stay where you're supposed to be at. You know what I'm saying? If you had a connection and, you know, we made relations with certain organizations, you know, that, you know, we still stayed over here. And you know, to go to another set, you know what I'm saying, you need to let somebody know. You just couldn't be set tripping and being in other people's set. It was a code at that time, which it slowly started to fade, you know what I'm saying, because there was a resistance on the avenue with that. Dudes was like, yo, man, we ain't being no 20 Love, and, you know, which is understood if everybody was their own man. That's one thing about Hartford, you know what I'm saying, everybody was their own boss out here. We were just in units, you know, but, you know, it slowly kind of, it started to fade, man, because it was like a fad for some people, you know what I'm saying? It was a survival tool for some people, you know, but it eventually kind of faded. You still got remnants of the Solids and Kings out here, but for the most part, you know what I'm saying, to me it's not the same as it was back then, man. You know, it was serious, man. It was, you know what I'm saying, everything was cold, you know? And I'm not saying that for everybody, but, you know, in the North, you don't really hear about that kind of stuff no more. You know what I'm saying? Not Solids and Kings and 20s, you know? But, you know, just started to grow up and realize, man, that, yo, this ain't about nothing, because the dudes that was leading it wasn't right themselves. And that's what really started to dismantle, because it was like, you know, you had dudes taking advantage of the situation. You know what I'm saying? Under the dudes that was under them, and dudes started to recognize that, and the lights started coming on. Like, yo, what we doing? You know, that was the reality for some of us. I can only speak for, you know, what I started to learn. And it's always props to everybody, man. You know, but you know, truth is truth, and the truth gonna always outstand falsehood. You know, it wasn't what we thought it was. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was just you know, me. I became Muslim, you know, and I was going through my thing, and that's what I was standing on. That was my allegiance to Allah, and it just took a time to just develop and fortify itself through, you know what I'm saying, my journey. Well, truthfully, like I shared with you, you know, I didn't know about Islam for a long time. I grew up in a Christian church, you know what I'm saying? I went to Pentecostal church every day, every Sunday when I was little. And I used to be like, man, I went to church so much, I said, when I get big, I ain't never going back to church. But when I got locked up, well, before that, actually, when I was on the block, dudes from the nation used to come over here and scoop me up, and they slide me off with them, and we go Bridgeport, Father Panic, man, and sell Final Call, and go to little meetings, and I got a taste of the Nation of Islam back then. But when I went to Young Cheshire, I went to a they call it Taaleem service, which is Islamic, you know, it's Islamic class about Islam, and I just heard the words, man, that the young minister was speaking, man, and it just touched my heart, man. And I took my Shahada when I was 18, and you know, I was young at the time. My foundation wasn't solidified, you know, which was the qadr of Allah, which that was God's will. That's what that means. I came home and I was running back and forth in the street still. I was still trying, at that time being young, man, I was like, I'm trying to catch up with time. It took me a long time to realize, man, you can never catch time. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, I came back out here doing what I was doing, moving and shaking. I would go to Jumu'ah sometime. But, you know, slowly, man, Allah started to, you know what I'm saying, to pour into me in pieces, man. This thing Islam, man, because, you know, Islam taught me, you know what I'm saying, truly what family and brotherhood is. You know what I'm saying? It taught me, you know what I'm saying, that a lot of this stuff out here ain't nothing but a trick made by Shaitan, man. You know, we call it a satanic innovation, man. You know, but what Islam did for me, I can't explain it. If it wasn't for Islam, man, I probably wouldn't be here right now. I ain't even gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? Islam, man, kind of slowly did what it was gonna do to me, man. And I really, honestly, been practicing about 15 years. I'm 52. So I really didn't practice and put this thing into application, which that's the biggest part of learning anything, is the application. Because you can walk around with knowledge, but if you're not applying it to your life, you just holding knowledge. You like a treasure chest at the bottom of the sea that hold no value. It's there, but it holds no value. So, like, you know, but I understand in my faith that everything that happened in my life was supposed to happen, because I was that dude that I only learned from experience. People couldn't tell me nothing because I grew up on my own. So everything I learned in my life was through experience. And we call, you know, one of the 8 gates of knowledge, experiential knowledge, where Allah let me taste His mercy and His punishment sometime. But everything that I've learned, you know what I'm saying, I don't question no more. There's no doubt in my mind. I don't gotta talk, I don't gotta listen to what somebody's heard or seen. I've been through it myself. I seen my best friend get killed. I seen what the broken home do. I see what not being a good father did. You know what I'm saying? I see what hanging with the wrong people, places, and things did. You know what I'm saying? I felt it all. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I've been shot. I've been almost paralyzed. So, you know, and when that happened, was only Allah that saved me from not getting killed that night. That I decided to want to be a homeboy to somebody and roll with him to make sure he's straight, and he left me for dead. So it was Allah, man, and I understand that through sitting down for a little while and reflecting, you know what I'm saying, which is a part of worshiping, reflecting on your life, man, sitting down for a minute, sitting still, and and seeing, what your journey has been and to figure it out. So, my faith has been huge in my life because most of my family not even Muslim, but, this is, even with my name, I changed my name because this was the path. I didn't want no slave name no more. My mother was upset about that, but I told her this is my journey. This is the journey I choose, and this is what I'm gonna do as a man. And people slowly embracing it, because Islamic names are attributes, and these names that we strive to become. We just not these names when we born. You have to fulfill the names that been given or you gave yourself. You have to fulfill them. So my faith is the only thing that kept me alive in these streets, man. If you want to be honest, it was my faith, man. So I hold on to my faith, and I'm not no saint. I say that for the record, but man, Allah is slowly molding me, man. Through my role models like Raqeeb Shabazz, and Marcus Garvey, and Huey Newton, and H-Rap Brown, who became Imam Jamil El-Amin. These brothers that was soldiers, man, that went into the system and they changed their faith and changed their life and came out and changed communities. And I'm just trying to follow that lead, man, helping to change the community, man. That's all.
Kent Street, Uptown, you know what I'm saying?
Man, well, first of all, this was A Block. When we first started coming on these corners, we was up the street. It wasn't none of this. We wasn't doing none of this right here. We all was up the street. You know what I'm saying? We 15, man. We hanging out by our houses, so we called it A Block. Like I said, this was like an island. This was like the block, so we just called it A Block. And then it was Uptown, right? Then we started calling it Uptown in the 90s. The early 90s, they started calling it Uptown. And then it eventually became, Harlem, which Uptown is Harlem. So they just spiced the name up. So, that's the young G's call it Harlem.
The word of mouth, I take over the game. Shit bullets over your brain. Nigga, I ain't spraying with you, bet you the one ducking. Nigga, I ain't playing with you. I escaped the clutches of the ghetto, where there's plenty metal, corruption and murder. It's the lavish. I could take you to a couple places that you never heard of. It's the lavish. I remember when being in the streets was so cold. It's the lavish. Now I'm a bird gang affiliate and I ain't got a scuffle.
That's what they rep, Harlem, It's gonna be always all three to me because even this ground is logistically has transformed. You know what I'm saying? So it went from A Block at one time. This was Virginia Market. You know what I'm saying? The patty shop been there forever. The car wash across the street been there forever. But things have evolved, man. And so it went from A Block to Uptown to Harlem. That's just the process that this neighborhood done went through, A Block, man, I think about, man, when I was 15 years old, getting a lot of money, man, and tasting what I thought was freedom, being able to do what I want to do. Thought I was being a man and, just having fun, and that's all it was fun. No real structure, but I think about majority. It was just living wild, man. Being free like a Mustang out in the grass, man, was just running. That's when I think about A Block, you know what I'm saying. Uptown started to mature, and it was Uptown. It was Uptown when I came back out of jail. They was calling it Uptown. I wasn't even out here when they first started calling it Uptown. I was locked up, So, my re-entry into the world was Uptown, and it was faster. Then you had cooked up cocaine, which they used to tell us, it was crack, but it wasn't crack. It was based in. So we went from powder cocaine to base And that's when you really see the community crumble. When base came to Hartford, man, it destroyed our city, man. That it destroyed it, man. You know, you went from a person that could go to work every day, you know what I'm saying, buying a 20 of powder, doing whatever they did with it. They could do that for years to somebody start smoking base, man, and next thing you know, they lost their job in 2 months. You know what I'm saying? And it was crazy, you know, because you know, I see just the economics under this underground economy. You know what I'm saying? I remember when I was 15, we'd beat somebody up for coming out here with $15. Dudes out here serving $5 hits. You get the economy is, you get if you understand the dynamics, you understand that this money not the same. The first part was the trap, to lure us out of, you know what I'm saying, to lure us into the streets. That money, you know, money. They lured us out here, you know, and the money was good, and then they changed the game on us, and now it's just crazy, man. It's all being manipulated by the system. It ain't come out here by itself. It was all manipulated by the system. You know what I mean? You know, you can watch snowfall, but we seen it right here. You know what I'm saying? We ain't got no Freeway Ricky over here, but we was the street soldiers that was doing it out here. You know what I'm saying? You know, when the guns came here, the dudes from Vermont brung them in boxes. I mean, but you know, back then it was 32s, 380s, 38s, 45s. Now dudes got 40 cows and AKAs and RAFs and RAPs. All, you know what I'm saying? Just all of this, man, it's doing what it's supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? And it's just us as a community recognizing it, man, and standing up, man, and you know, trying to mend some of the. For me, it's like mending some of the harm I did. You know, Bob Marley got a song called Redemption Song, and I'm just trying to seek redemption, man, for anything I caused out here, because it's about being a man, is being accountable. I played a role in this, you know what I'm saying? So, as a man, you know, by law, we have to help those that are being oppressed. And at one time, I was part of the oppressing. So, you know, I see the stages from A Block to Uptown to Harlem. This is Harlem right now. Harlem. You don't know what's gonna happen at any given time. You know what I'm saying? You know, the car wash really closed. You don't see people gambling over there. This is shut down right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, Reed's is gone. It's Corey's now. The package store gone. That was a good thing. You know, it's a smoke shop now. Gus Pizza House is gone. You know what I'm saying? Jesse's Miller's is gone. This is Harlem now. So, you know, nothing lasts. That's what that means. Nothing lasts. They used to call, you know, even in that evolution, they used to call me Pest. Then they started calling me 30. Now I'm Raqeeb, you know, I'm not out here, you know what I'm saying? No disrespect to my G's, you know what I'm saying? Because I love them, they my brothers, right? But, you know, my path is different. You know, I'm not out here every day hanging out, you know what I'm saying? Doing nothing with my time. You know, because that's what the reality is. I did nothing with my time for years. You know, this transformation only happened 9 years ago. You know, even when I was working at CHS, I was on the fence. I worked at CHS for 9 years, man, as a medical assistant, right? And I used to come back and hang at the bar and drink and smoke and do whatever, you feel me? So it's like, you know, where I'm at now, I don't drink, I don't smoke, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and as I said, I don't say that from a judgmental standpoint. I'm talking about my own growth and development as a man. You know what I'm saying? I had 5 children. For 4 of my kids, I was in and out of jail, on the streets, on the block, not spending time with them. You know what I'm saying? Well, Allah blessed me. I've been taking care of my daughter, who is 7 years old, about to be 8 for 6 years. Basically myself, with the help of my mother, you know what I'm saying, here and there, I've been taking care of a little girl. So that alone, because I went from worrying about myself, taking care of myself, surviving out here, to having to be responsible for a little child and watching her grow and evolve, man. And it's blessings and lessons in that, because the lessons is, man, I didn't give these to my other kids, but I was still blessed to be able to give it to one of my children. what I'm saying? Because that's what amendment is. Amends means not just to say sorry. It means to change, man, and fix things. So, you know, I can't fix what I didn't do for my young adults, because they're young adults now. You know what I'm saying? The amends is helping their little sister and being there for their little sister and helping her not have to go through, you know what I'm saying, not even what they went through. Because they ain't had bad lives, they just had their father in their life. You know what I'm saying? You know, not a whole one, not a healthy one. So, like, I'm grateful to Allah because Allah did all this for me. I don't take credit, like, you know, listen, this is all from Allah. You know, we taught that all good come from Allah, all bad come from my own hands. And I know anything that I've been through came from my own hand. People, places, and things. Choices, right? Today I'm making better I'm making better decisions. And my growth and development is like, listen, man, listen, it was going back to, I was blessed to go back to college, man. You know what I'm saying, at 27 years old. And I think that was like an epiphany for me, because we understand that, yo, listen, when you go to school, when I went to school, we just heard about slavery as picking cotton. But when I went to college, I learned the depths of what slavery did, the psychosis of slavery, and what slavery is doing to us today as a mentality. You know what I'm saying? The psychosis, man, the sociology of it, of what they call the structural determinants of health, the institutional violence. I was blessed to learn that because, you know, in my mentors, I see what Malcolm X was fighting for. I see what Huey Newton and Stokely Carmichael and H-Rap Brown and the Black Panther Party, man, the Black Liberation Army, what they was fighting, Sada Shakur. I see what they was fighting for. Some of us don't want to stand in that role, but we have to, right? So my development is amazing because I'm a revolutionary. My whole story talks revolution, survival, revolution. Revolutionary, like Fred Hampton said, man, you can kill a revolutionary, but not the revolution, because it's a concept. It's in our DNA. Revolution is in our DNA, because we've been fighting since we've been on as Malcolm said, Plymouth Rock. We've been fighting, man, and we still fighting. I mean, some of us don't understand we fighting, but that's another thing about my growth and development that I understand. We in the fight still. Despite my job, despite I got an apartment, man, I'm still fighting, because that's what they want us to think we made it. Until we are free, we ain't free. Rest in peace, man. I would thank, you know what I'm saying, my uncle, grandfather, man, who took me in, man, when I was, you know what I'm saying, going through what I was going through at home, and gave me a safe space, man, to be a kid, man, and taught me about working, man, work ethic, man, getting up at 4:30 in the morning and dropping off papers, man, helping me out, you know what I'm saying. He taught me how to drive, man. When he was like 80 years old, coming to see me in NYI, driving all the way to Cheshire by himself, man. That was the only man I had in my life, and you know, I'm grateful to him. Even when I made the decision, man, to stop staying with him, it was out of respect, because I never forget the day he said, you know, you don't like what you're doing, you know what I'm saying, and you can stay here still, but if you're gonna stay here, man, you gotta follow the rules. And I respectfully said I'm gonna leave. That was out of grand respect for him. You know, because I was never raised on disrespecting the elders, man. I wasn't raised like that, you know. So first and foremost, you know, Allah first, and then I would have to thank him. You know, I would have to thank Coach Dixon, Coach Boise. When I played for the Stars, man, they taught me about teamwork, you know what I'm saying, and being a team and being a unit. They taught me, you know what I'm saying, to be competitive, you know what I'm saying. These was Captain Keith, who was Coach Keith back then. You know, I had to thank my aunt, man, you know, when she came from Jamaica, tried to help my mother out, man, and get him a place, man. She's a strong woman, man. She's an example of a matriarch, man. I had to thank the Williams Bay family, man, who when I had nowhere to live, you know what I'm saying, You know what I'm saying? At 15, 16 years old, man, they took me in and treated me like family and showed me what family was. And you know what I'm saying? You know, and treated me, most of them treated me as family, man. And I ain't had to sleep out here in these streets, man. You know, so I had to pay homage to that, man, to Nana and Mr. Bay, who, you know, encouraged them to, you know, be supportive, man, in my situation. I would have to thank these people. I would have to thank, man, jeez, man. Well, I would have to thank Mr. Nesmith, man, was my 5th grade teacher, man. When I was a gifted and talented, man, I would have to thank him as well. As a positive role model, seeing a black teacher teaching me, man. Mr. Hardy at Weaver, man, who used to always be on us, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, he was always on us, man. I would have to thank him, man. You know, I had to thank my brother, sister, grandfather, man, who, you know, even though I wasn't his grandchild, man, he treated me as such, man. Him and his wife, I'll be grateful to them as well, man, because they showed me, you know, spirituality, man. They showed me, you know, structure and discipline. You know, those are the people, man, that when you ask me that question, those are the people that I would have to say I would have to be grateful to off the muscle, man, because my starting my journey, man, my Sheikh, my Amir, Mustafa, man, who I seen be a man every day, man, and is a true example of a man and a father, even though he didn't have no kids, man. Those are the people I would have to thank, man. You know what I'm saying? And even the people that did me wrong, I got to thank them too, because even in that tribulation, man, it was a blessing, man, that I didn't even realize. My Sheikh always say, man, in the loss there's a victory. So I had to thank those people too that walked out my life. I had to thank them, man. I really do, because sometimes we think that, you know, God do for us what we can't do for ourselves, and I know and understand that now. So I thank those people too. You know what I'm saying? I think the dude that put the gun to my head, who I thought was my homeboy, and robbed me. You know what I'm saying? And since this is a real video, I followed him after he robbed me that whole night. And I wanted to kill him, and I was like, yo, Allah put it in my heart not to kill him. I followed him 2 in the morning, and I followed him, you know what? But when that happened, I went back to school, man, because the reality was like, yo, I don't want to live like this no more, man. I went back to Goodwin College and got my, you know, graduated as a medical assistant. You know what I'm saying? Then I went back to Capital and got my associate degree in liberal arts. I was in nursing school. I went to UConn. I'm 3 credits away from a bachelor's degree. So even in the negative, man, it was many blessings, man. So I gotta think every transaction, if you want me to be truthful, I gotta believe every transaction, because every interaction we have with human beings is a transaction. You know what I'm saying? Whether you realize, some of us, I was blessed to realize it. Some of us don't realize the transactions. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thankful to Allah, first and foremost, who always being there for me. You know what I mean? And I'll leave it there, man. But yeah, I thank everybody. Your point of view across. We need more men out here. Our sisters shouldn't be the ones in the front lines. Yeah. And I truly feel like that. Why should our sisters be out here when we the men, right? That we're supposed to be the maintainers and protectors. And we got our women doing all the work. That's all I want to say. Yo, man, shouts out to Champ, man. Brother I met, man, he's my comrade, man, in the struggle, because we still in the struggle. You know, shouts out to all he's doing, man, to bring this to light, that people trying to sweep under the mat, those that's taking bribes and kickbacks to not help our people come up, you know what I'm saying, to exposing the treason that's being done by our own people and by the enemy who's doing what they're supposed to do. And when you know the enemy, you understand they're doing their job. We're not doing our job, but my man Champ is doing his. Peace.